Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 17. We are available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more. So today we're going to talk about the general news. Then we're going to talk about the argument of violence in video games. This argument is obviously going to be very biased from us because we like video games, but just to put some logic into it. Then we're going to talk about our recent activities and just close the show out. So first piece of news is that 16-year-old Buga, over the past, I think it was 2 weekends ago, he won the Fortnite Solos World Cup. And he came home with $3.5 million. Now, I'm not sure exactly how much tax New York State is going to take out of that or whatever, but, I mean, he's a millionaire, pretty much, which is very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Imagine just winning Fortnite. I'm good. I don't really need to do that much anymore. I could just live my life comfortably. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty good, mostly for someone so young. You could do a lot with that. You could, you could help your parents, maybe. You could just set yourself a life too. You could do whatever. You don't have to do anything anymore.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because I know that he streamed after he won, obviously, but I wonder if he's gonna have that same drive and same passion to continue playing now that he has won. I'm pretty sure he does because he's still very young and he probably still wants to keep doing this. So. Hopefully, we'll see more of him in the future. But, the Fortnite World Cup as a whole was definitely, the format was very weird. It was pretty much all of these qualifiers and so many players didn't qualify. But once you got to the finals, which is, all of 100 players, you could see exactly how good certain people are in terms of how the game is played out. So.
Right. I don't know. It was weird because I don't think I've ever watched an actual competitive match of Fortnite before. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, it just seems like a game that I really don't know how it would even be structured. Would you just put all 100 people down? And
yeah.
You just
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, people play obviously extremely safe. And when the circle gets really small, 30 people are still alive or whatever. But once it gets to that point, that's when it starts to get very exciting. Because that's when the clutch factor comes in and this and that. But it was definitely very fun to go and watch the solo finals because, it's all 100 players and, Tfue was there, but unfortunately he did not perform as well. But every single one that qualified for the finals came home with a couple $1,000s. So can't be too mad, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that mad. Sounds pretty good to me. All right, so next we got pretty big news. Ninja moves to Mixer. So if you don't know what Mixer is, it's another streaming website, sort of like a competitor to Twitch. And they offered him a bunch of money, and now he's on Mixer. I think this would be pretty good, so Twitch could actually have some competition. It's sort of like what people wanted the Epic Game Store to be to Steam, except the Epic Game Store kind of sucks, and then no one really appreciates it or whatever. But with Mixer, if there aren't maybe it could be seen as a good alternative, and maybe some more streamers might hop into that, and then just good competition for Twitch, so they could improve on stuff. That's how I see it. I really don't care about Ninja. I don't really care about Fortnite, but I see this as a good sort of Twitch better get working on improvements and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So Ninja moving to Mixer, it is a Microsoft-based streaming platform, I believe. Yeah. So that's very interesting, which explains why he went there, because he probably got, contracted to a lot of money to stream there exclusively, because moving from one platform to another, you're bound to lose people. But his first day streaming obviously is going to be very, very big. I wonder exactly how consistent that's going to be. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Competition is always good. I don't see this as a sellout mover or anything like that. He's a businessman. He's doing what he thinks is right. And especially with all of the recent drama that we have not talked about on the show with Twitchy girls and things that they've done and they haven't gotten punished for it. So, hopefully this is a knock on the door to Twitch to be yo, you gotta either fix your terms of services or whatever. There's multiple things that Twitch can fix up. And Ninja moving over to Mixer, I think, is the first sign that they need to do something.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's just gonna be good for Microsoft too, since probably a lot of kids they probably just play on their Xboxes and stuff, and they have defaulted to Mixer and their Xbox dashboard or whatever. So he's probably gonna get views that way, and then maybe those kids, maybe they're sort of growing up on Mixer, so they're just gonna use it instead of Twitch now, because it's why would he use Twitch when I could just use Mixer? So that's how I see it as. But again, I don't know if that's true or not, and that's just speculation. But Yeah, I think it's a smart move by Microsoft to really get Mixer off the ground since, for a while now it was just kind of like a joke. It's just like Mixer, like who cares about Mixer? I mean, I still don't care about Mixer, but if it's able to like make Twitch improve on some things, then that would certainly be good. So,
yeah, definitely very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Riot Games is working on a fighting game, and this is the first game outside of League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a completely new fighting game. That's all we know, and it's not going to be League of Legends related. So this is going to be very interesting. Obviously, they've been working on this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I just wonder exactly how well this game is going to do, just because... like Riot has pretty much been holding on to League of Legends since they've started, and I wonder how much they've actually taken into consideration with this fighting game, because they want to make it good for casuals and pros, which is like very, very hard to do. So I wonder if they're actually going to execute on that, or if it's just going to be another one of those fighting games where like skill cap is pretty good entry level, but then once you get to like the pro level, it's going to be like insane.
Yeah, like I still think the only like real fighting game that really did that well, like the whole casual competitive thing, is Smash, and that was kind of by accident anyway. Like, Nintendo didn't want it to be like that, but people just ended up finding a way to make it like super competitive. So Riot like trying to like have that focus like intentionally, I don't know, I feel like it might mix some people up, like, oh, maybe like the game is too casual, too easy, or maybe it's still too hard for like newer players to really get into. I don't know. I feel like fighting games is just a really hard genre to like make for like casual people anyway. Like there's ways to make it like approachable. Like I think like Soul Calibur 6 and Mortal Kombat 11 did do a pretty good job since there's a lot of single player content. So even if you don't play competitively, you could enjoy those modes and have a good time. And for someone like me that I'm not that competitive with fighting games because I'm bad, I appreciate that. Same thing with Smash Ultimate with Word of Light. I'm like, I could have a really good time with that game without even like touching online, because I could just play with bots and whatever, just have a fun little single player mode. But when you actually like actively try and make the game like competitively but still easy to get into, I feel like that's when you run into problems, I guess. Like I don't know, it's hard to balance those two things.
Yeah, definitely. It's obviously going to be very interesting once the game does get shown off and how well it is received by the general public, because most people know Riot Games as the League of Legends devs. That's it. So once they get another game under their belt, let's see exactly how well they can do with that. So
yeah. And speaking of fighting games, we had a big sort of mistake here at EVO. So during Tekken 7, they showed a reveal trailer, well, quote unquote reveal trailer, where Snake, Solid Snake from Metal Gear, he like said some lines. He's like, "That's some good ass Tekken." Everyone got hyped. And then it was a joke. Snake is not really in Tekken 7. It was just like a joke the EVO people did for some reason. And people got really mad, including David Hayter, the voice actor for Snake. He's like, "Hey, don't use my voice like that. Like that was like a private like thing someone paid me to do. I didn't know it was going to be at EVO, so please don't do that." And I think Konami got mad too. Like it was like a whole mess. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, definitely bad PR on their part.
Yeah.
There was no good side of this at all, because people thought that, Solid Snake and Tekken, that's gonna be crazy, and then it's like, this was a joke, by the way. It's like, how do you do that without thinking that like people are gonna think about Snake being an actual fighter in Tekken? So yeah, this was just bad on all fronts. And even like the voice actor David Hayter, like that was very surprising for him to come out and be like, that was really bad, sort of thing.
It's just like, I don't know, it also like takes the wind under the sails of like some of the other character reveals for like Tekken, like, cause it's like, oh, well, it's not gonna be as cool as Snake, so whatever. Like I don't know, it just seems like a whole mess. Like I feel like they really sort of contacted everyone involved, Konami and like David Hayter and the devs for Tekken 7, like just like, hey, could we do this? Is this okay? And if they say no, then don't do the joke, I don't know. I just feel like that was super unprofessional and just like it was just like a bad joke. And now they're really paying the price for it because everyone's mad. So yeah, I really don't understand what they were thinking when they came up with this idea.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like they weren't thinking at all. They were just like, hey, this would be like a pretty funny joke. And then everyone around the office was like, yeah, that is a pretty funny joke. And then like someone actually went and did it. Like, wait, we probably should have like taken a couple of like extra steps trying to do this,
Yeah.
Just really, really weird. Okay, so ESA, Entertainment Software Association, they will now require developers to disclose to Sony, Microsoft, and or Nintendo about loot box odds. So loot boxes have been a prime topic of discussion for quite a while now. And the fact that they are now coming forward and being like, yo, devs, you have to let us know what the loot box odds are to the three major devs, I think is a very good step in the right direction. And to answer this, the Rocket League devs, they are now getting rid of paid or randomized crates later this year. So yeah, it's just very interesting for them to finally do this now. But yeah, I mean, like, not having the odds to like knowing exactly what you're going to get in a loot box is kind of weird, I think.
Yeah, like, I think obviously this should have been from the start always, like, you know, just telling you the odds are like, you know, you got like a 90% chance to get a common and like a 1% chance to get like a legendary. Like, that should have always been like public information. So I'm finally glad that something's getting done with it, and that, you know, Sony, like, they're forcing Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo to like, hey, do this, please. So I was like, okay. So now they have no choice but to like display those probability chances. But what I do think what's going to happen now is that games are probably just not even going to use loot boxes anymore. I mean, this is my theory. I think games are going to like sort of like go away from this loot box stuff, since like now it's like super like, you know, there's regulations and stuff. And they're probably going to move towards that like Fortnite style of a shop where it's like, hey, you got some things for a limited time only, like buy it now, or else it won't be here for what for how long, you know? Like, I feel like that's probably a smarter way to make money now than just doing loot boxes, because they're so like, you know, like regulated now. So I don't know. That's just what I think that these companies are going to do to monetize their games now. But I guess we're just going to have to see.
Yeah, I definitely understand your theory and kind of agree with it, because, you know, the Rocket League devs already pulled out of it, so they're going to implement that later this year. So probably other devs will follow in their footsteps, and the way Fortnite has been doing their transactions, or their microtransactions, my apologies, is obviously very smart. It's a limited time sort of thing, so people feel pressured to you know, spend money and buy it. And yeah, I definitely see that all the time. You know, like when it's like, hey, it's a limited thing, people feel pressure to buy it, and I have been victim to that to many other products, not just within microtransactions. But yeah, devs will probably either follow that way, or just, like you said, just not even have them anymore, just because they don't want people to know what the odds are for whatever reason. Yeah,
because with the odds, and when you see like, oh, there's like only like a 1% chance to get like some legendary thing, you're gonna be like, why would I ever buy that now? So yeah, I think a lot more developers are gonna stay away from loot boxes, which is also good. Like, you know, like, I'd rather not have them anymore. Like, they were fine at first when Overwatch first came out. I'm like, okay, whatever, it's fine. And then when you have to spend like $40 to get like one legendary skin, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? So yeah, I think this is a good way to either really regulate loot boxes or just make them stop. Like, I think this is a good thing. And if anyone disagrees with that, then I don't know what to think about you. But yeah.
Okay. So let's get into this.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's gonna be very like political sort of argument, just because of what everything that's been going on within America. We won't talk about that, but it is very sad and very tragic that we live in a time where things like this are happening, you know. So the argument that has been brought up even by the president of the United States, fucking Trump, and several other politicians and people, is that violence in video games causes violence in the real world. So I guess I'll go first and tell you my personal experience, so then you could go, Damian, in terms of like what we think about that, because we have been exposed to violent video games at a young age. So personally, for myself, it's always been like blood, gore, all that stuff. You know, like, I have played Gears of War when I was like not even 10. Like, I was playing that game with my friends, my neighbor, you know, games like that. And I don't want to do violent things in the real world because I'm doing it in the game. And also, like, the main thing that people are not taking away from violent video games is that, like, you have to be within a certain mental state to really play them and not go AWOL sort of thing. So when people bring up Fortnite as like a violent video game, I just laugh, because that game is so that game is so cartoony. It's like ridiculous that you think that Fortnite, where it's like a mixture of goddamn Minecraft and like shooting people, is going to bring people to do violence in the real world. Now, I understand with like things like Call of Duty and GTA bringing that kind of stuff up, but even then, that argument is pretty bad because there have been multiple studies and multiple things out there. And I've even done like school assignments where like, do violence in video games actually cause violence in real life? And every single time it's goddamn no, because it actually doesn't do that. And the fact that Walmart is going to stop advertising violent video games in their like ads or whatever is very weird, especially since they're still going to sell guns in certain Walmart stores, you know? So I don't know. You kind of either have to do one or the other, pull them both out, or just leave it as is.
Yeah, like just like you know, I've been playing violent video games for like ever. You know, like blood and stuff like that, like guns and whatever. And I turned out just fine. Like, you know, like I've never had the mindset where I'm like, I'm just gonna like murder a bunch of people now because I played God of War or something. Like that never crossed my mind. So obviously that is already linked to something that's, you know, a mental issue and like ease of getting a gun. Like there's like no correlation between violence in games and like people wanting to do this stuff because they were probably gonna do it anyway. Like, you know, like it's not the games that triggered them. Also, the violence in video games are most of the time very like exaggerated. Like they're like so ridiculous that it's something that would never happen in real life. Like, like I remember the Mortal Kombat devs really saying this. Like they made the death animations and all this fatalities and stuff super ridiculous just because it's like it's to the point where it's funny. Like it's not like this is something that would never happen in real life. So that's how they get away with such like violent stuff because it's like that would never happen in real life, and it's just like. It's super video gamey, you know. Even Gears of War, like you chop someone up with like a chainsaw gun, like that is so stupid. Like, of course, it's not gonna like cause someone to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that in real life. Like, it doesn't work like that. And again, this is mostly just them. Like they always done. They've been doing this for years, just shifting blame to like a scapegoat. You know, they do it with like music and movies and TV shows and video games. You know, it's like it's always the same thing. They just do it because it's an easy thing to like blame on without actually doing anything. Like. You know, they don't have to do stricter gun laws, or they don't have to do Medicare stuff for like mentally ill people. You know, it's just such an easy thing to blame. Like, oh, video games are causing all of this instead of like the actual problem. And it just like it's blowing my mind that Walmart, you know, is just like, okay, instead of actually like stop selling guns or just like being way stricter with the guns they sell, just let's just blame it on video games. I'm like, what? Like that's just so horrible. Like I just do not understand like any of this like this mindset.
Yeah, but I don't understand it either. I think it's literally because they're an older generation. That's why, and they don't understand exactly what's going through a person's mind when they actually play these games, you know?
Like, I agree with that, but I also think they just don't care. Like, they just...
that too.
Yeah, like, I just don't think they just don't care. Like, they're just like... They're just like, just blame it on video games because it doesn't matter to us. Like, if they blame it on movies or something, like, oh, we like movies, so let's just, I don't know, just blame it on games or whatever. Like, who cares? And, like, that sort of mentality, shifting the blame on something that should be in the light right now, which is, like, guns and, like, mental health issues and all that stuff. But I guess, you know, that would never be solved because we just always gotta blame it on something else, so.
Yeah. It's because video games are still like a newer form of entertainment, I feel, compared to like movies, TV shows, and music. So like, you know, back in the day, people would be like, people who listen to like metal music do this, but now it's like, no, they don't. What the hell? So I think eventually, I don't know when that'll be, but eventually, once more people, you know, are aware of like what games actually have an impact on, because most of the time video games bring people together, and video games are used as a way to escape from the real world in terms of like, you know, the stress of like whatever's going on in X person's life. So right now it's kind of just like whatever, it's the same song and dance that I've heard for years where it's like violence in video games cause violence in the real world. That is just a whole dumb argument that people say that and they just don't understand where it's coming from because they just see it and they just believe
it. And I'm happy that a lot of people are like on this side now where it's like, yeah, that's BS, like we don't believe this anymore. Like sure, there's gonna always be like those, like, you know, people, the older generations are like, oh, of course it's video games, but I'm glad a lot more people, you know, there's actual studies now. Like back in like 2008 or whatever, like, you know, people were also blaming violence on video games, but we didn't really have all this support. Now a lot of people are just like, yeah, no, that's BS. Like actually like solve the issue now, please. Like stop blaming video games because that's not the issue, obviously. So
yeah. So we'll just get off this topic and talk about our recent activities. So I'll let you go first because I got a lot of gushing to do once I get to my stuff.
All right, so I have been playing the new Fire Emblem Three Houses. I already beat it, actually. And it is...
Holy shit.
For me, the playthrough I did was 65 hours. It was very long. But I played a lot of it because I loved it. So, you know, my first Fire Emblem game was Awakening. Like, I think a lot of people were because that's when they were introduced to the series. And I loved it. Fates came out, didn't like it too much. But then I played Shadows of Valentia, which was the last 3DS game. And I feel like everyone forgot about it. But that one was very good, too. I liked that one a lot. So with this game, it takes actually a lot of things from that game. Being there's no weapon triangle, there's a lot less shipping and stuff. There's every single line, like every single dialogue thing that a character says is fully voice acted, which is really nice. I like that a lot. All the voice acting is very good, dubbed and stuff like that. I think you can play it subbed as well. Like, you can play with Japanese voices. But yeah, overall the game is just really good. It just takes everything that that Shadows of Valentia did with a more serious story, but still being like a little lighthearted that Awakening did, but it does it really well. It's hard to explain. I know a lot of people were not too sure about the whole school stuff, but I think it worked out really well in the end. Mm-hmm. You could teach all your students things. You could train them to be whatever units you want and stuff. It really leads to a lot of customizability. I thought that from the first trailer I saw. This looks cool because you can train all your units to be whatever you want. I know some people, again, they weren't sure about it because they were it's just gonna be like a high school thing, but it really wasn't. They really do treat the story really maturely, and the high school stuff doesn't really play into the story that much. It's just a way for you to train your units, really. So that's good. And speaking of the characters, I like them all a lot, at least for my class. I picked the Yellow House, the Golden Deers, and all the characters didn't feel like one-note units that you got from Awakening and Fates, where they were just hey, I like doing this one thing, and that's it. And you didn't really care about them that much. I felt like in this game, they give them a lot more backstories and other things with the other classmates and stuff. It was really good. I actually cared about my units a lot in this game, and I didn't really want to replace any of my starting units. They give you room for at least one more recruitable person, but that's about it. Most of the time you could just use your class and you'll be totally fine, which is what I did. Because you just feel attached to them. I didn't want to change them for other units. I was totally okay with just using what they gave me. But yeah, overall I thought it was just it was great. It was a really good evolution of what Fire Emblem has become now. Obviously there's still some shipping things or whatever, but it's not nearly as bad as Fates was with you could pet people, and that was weird. I felt like the story was more based on Game of Thrones-y type stuff, where it's 3 house leaders and stuff like that, fighting each other. I thought that's just more compelling than just being evil dark mage or whatever. Because I see that all the time in every JRPG or even in other Fire Emblem games, where it's just fight the evil god. And this game does have that, but it's it really isn't as in your face as those other games. It's mostly based on the political stuff, which is I just find it more interesting for a game like this. And obviously gameplay is it's Fire Emblem. Nothing's revolutionary really with the gameplay, but that's fine because the gameplay in Fire Emblem is great. Again, most of the gameplay changes were with the monastery and stuff, the school. And I feel like that stuff was done really well. It felt like Persona was every week you could, again, teach your students, and then every Sunday you have an off day where you could do various free activities. So you could either do side quests, you could battle or whatever, or you could explore the actual monastery and talk to the students and gift them stuff and do all that stuff. It never broke the pace for me. I know some people say they didn't really like that part because all they want to do is actually fight and stuff. But I feel like it was a good change of pace. They don't really force you to do it every single Sunday. It's mostly during the first month of that the first Sunday of that month, where it's there's a bunch of new stuff you could do in the exploration mode. But after that, you are free to just battle the rest of the month, so it doesn't really feel too intrusive. Overall, I loved it. I beat it real quick because it was just really fun to play through. The game feels whole. It doesn't feel like I'm missing anything from just playing the one playthrough. There's 4 routes you could go through, but the game feels whole just by picking one route. But it does leave you I wonder what the motivation for this other house was, and you could do that easily by doing a New Game Plus run, which I might do because I really want to know the story of the other 2 characters. But yeah, overall, it was fantastic. I love it, and a lot of other people are having the same opinion. That it's just a really good Fire Emblem game. So if you're looking for a good Fire Emblem game, this is a really good starting point because the game is actually pretty easy. I was playing on hard mode, and even in hard mode, the game was it felt really easy. So I feel like this is a really good starting point if you haven't played a Fire Emblem game before. It also brought back the mechanic where you could turn back time for a few turns, so you could fix any mistakes. So let's say your character missed an attack, you could rewind time so you could try something else. So I feel like those two mechanics really make it it's a lot more welcoming to newcomers. So yeah, overall I think it was fantastic, and I think it's a good starting point for any new Fire Emblem, anyone that wants to get into Fire Emblem right now. So yeah, it's really good.
It's pretty good for a Switch Fire Emblem game.
So next, this one's kind of controversial. So Smash Ultimate got a new hero, new character called Hero from Dragon Quest, and I guess I'll go through my personal thoughts on the character. I really like him. He's a lot of fun. He is really gimmicky though. His down B is the whole command menu, and you're able to pick what move you want that comes up at random. There's 4 random moves that come up, and some some might be a little problematic, like Thwack, which could instantly kill you, or I forgot what some other ones were, but they're very strong moves, and the moves are random. Also, a snooze is one that just makes you go to sleep, and it's very good. But even then, that's not where the problems even end with him. He also has random critical hits, because that's what everyone loved, right? Everyone loved random tripping and brawl, so we're just going to add random critical hits, which you could just instantly kill a Pichu if you're near the side of the stage, so that's fun.
Yeah, and instantly break a shield.
You also have even his regular B moves are good. His neutral B does a bunch of damage and could kill you really early. And his side B is also really nice. Has a nice long range, and if you hold it up all the way, could just kill you very easily. I guess the downsides with him is all his moves have horrible frame data, they come out very slowly. But I feel like his strengths kind of overshadow his weaknesses in a lot of respects. And for me as a casual player, he's really fun. I really like playing this character because of how he's very flashy. He has a lot of gimmicks, and he's just fun to play. As a competitive side, I could see him being a big problem. Really, my real only issue is the random critical hits. I feel like that's BS no matter what side of the fence you're on. That just shouldn't exist. It's never fun to just randomly crit someone. It's I didn't really deserve that, and if the other person's I really didn't deserve that. So yeah, random crits just shouldn't even be in this game. And the command menu is just I feel like it should just tone down some of the abilities. Like Thwack probably shouldn't just insta kill you. That's dumb. And I know some people are going to bring up Game & Watch has Judgment with 9, but I'm I don't know. I feel like a 9 doesn't kill you sometimes, and then Thwack is always going to kill you if you get that sweet spot with it or whatever. So I don't know. It's a whole controversial thing. People are really not liking this character just due to all the RNG. I still have my stance that he's a fun character, but yeah, he's probably not great for competitive.
All right, so I guess I have an opinion on this. I watch Smash Twitter a lot, just lurking and see what people are saying. But pretty much most people are saying that this is going to be a problematic character for competitive. And we're about to see how that is going to play out this weekend at Super Smash Con. I believe he's enabled for that tournament. But yeah, for myself, he is definitely very fun to watch. I just love watching YouTube videos of the pro players and streams of just them playing the character, and I'm just this is very interesting to go and see them do this, because they don't know exactly what's happening right now because this is a new character. But yeah, if I were to play him, I probably have a good time with him. He I love sword characters, so obviously this is already a win for me. But if I were to actually try him out and see how he is, I think that I would definitely like him. But the whole menu thing with down B, I don't think it's that big of a problem. I know that some people were memeing that I'm about to change the language to Spanish, and y'all gotta be bilingual, and I'm this is really troll, because you have to memorize or quickly see what move your about to use or whatever, because you can't just like browse through the menu as you're fighting or whatever, so you kind of have to
and like most of the matches I barely even use the down B, just because like it's really hard to bring that up, read, and then choose a move when you're in the middle of a fight. Like you mostly want to use it when someone's like at the ledge or like try to recover back, and then you could use it. But even then you'll probably like have a better time just trying to like kill them off stage or whatever. So yeah, it's I don't think it's gonna be his down B probably isn't gonna be that much of a problem. I feel like it's very situational when you're even gonna use it. That's why I think my only real complaint with this character is the random crits, because that's just always dumb. So yeah, so hopefully they fix that, but I don't really know. But overall, I think he's a fun character
until someone gets thwacked game 5 of a grand finals.
Yeah, right now I think he's okay, but I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think most people are going to pick him up as a secondary. It'd be hard for me to imagine that people are just going to main hero, unless he's actually like that good of a character, which I don't think he is, in my opinion. But we're just going to have to wait and see, because this is still a new character in a fighting game. Okay, so my thing I'm doing, obviously, is League of Legends. So I'm going to give you guys an update on my whole year-off plan that I've been doing for a while now. So last weekend we competed in a Scouting Grounds event. We made it to top 8, actually. This is the furthest we've ever went, but we lost to Maryville, a team consisting of really good players like Shady as their support, Evan RL, a bunch of people in like the amateur scene that are really, really good. So we lost 0-2 to them, unfortunately. But last week I started feeling some minor wrist pains. It's not like anything too serious, because I went to a doctor 2 days ago, and she gave me these pills that were pretty much, all right, if you ever feel pain, just take one. It lasts like 12 hours. And like the thing says you'll feel drowsy, this and that. So pretty much every single time I go to work, when I park my car, I take one, and then for the rest of the day, I don't really feel it. But I'm wearing my wrist guards at all times now, pretty much, even when I'm at work. So yesterday when I went to work, my cool manager, he was like, damn, son, you're getting way too hard. I was like, stop, please. And then the actual store manager, he didn't know my story about the whole like gaming thing. So, he asked questions about, what my parents think, this and that. And, it was just a nice conversation to have with one of my many bosses at the job. But yeah, I'm doing fine right now, but League of Legends solo queue is just terrible. I get at least 2 people autofilled on my team, and it's really bad when I'm playing support, because I need to rely on these people to carry me in a way. So solo queue is just not fun, just because of the amount of autofill players, and on top of that, the matchmaking. So like I'm like Grandmaster, like almost 300 LP. I think I'm like 2 LP off, but I see like people getting paired up with like Diamond 3, Diamond 2 players, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on with matchmaking? Like obviously you're getting into games faster, but the way Riot match makes the games, it just makes the game quality terrible. So they said they're working on a fix. Until then, I'm going to be playing my decay games until then. So I'm pretty much just going to be playing to make sure that I don't decay off of my current rank. And I'm not going to be playing to grind right now, just because it's just a waste of time. And on top of that, I need to like rest my wrist right now. So to rest my wrist, I've been playing a less intensive game, TFT. That game is still, like very like RNG, I feel sometimes. Some games, if you don't get certain items, you're just screwed. Or like if you don't get enough items like at all, you're just screwed entirely, and it just feels really, really bad when you lose because of that. And when you get like 7th or 8th, it feels really bad in ranked, just because you lose like plus 20 LP or something like that. But when you manage to get like top 4, you do get a lot of LP in return. But I'm still like bronze or whatever. It's just a mode I play for whenever I just want to like chill, relax, listen to music, or even a podcast, because I can listen to a podcast while playing TFT, because I don't have to worry about so much. I just have to worry about myself and like what other people are doing and what I'm trying to do, pretty much. So and then we played Mine Night. So this game's kind of old, but it's pretty good. And the best way I can describe it, and I think you can agree with me on this as well, it's a mixture of like Werewolf, Town of Salem, Mafia, but it's like online, and it has its own like separate rules, sort of thing.
It's also like quicker too.
Yeah, definitely. Some aspects of it definitely feel a lot quicker. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a online version of like those games, but like a mixture of them in a way.
Yeah, again, I just like
really, really fun.
how like more clean and simple it is, because with Town of Salem, sometimes it could get a little much. Like, there's a lot of roles and stuff like that. But this one's mostly just hacker and wherever you call it, the other people, the not hackers, agents, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, all you have the agents and the hackers, and then maybe have like one role each in like a different game mode, and that's about it. So having like that more clean, like just like everyone knows what they are basically, it just leads to like quicker games, and like it's just not too much confusion and stuff. Or you could be like, oh, I'm not in like a crappy role, like medium, like who cares? Like, oh, I'm a medium in Town of Salem, like I can't do anything. So yeah, I don't know. I just find it more fun, honestly.
Yeah, and I believe it was on sale when we bought it. I'm not sure what the actual price of the game is, but you need to type in My Night Steam, because if you don't, you're going to get some weird Google searches.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, definitely. You need to type in My Night and then Steam. The game's free to play.
Yeah, it's free to play, yeah.
So, yeah, if you have like up to 7 other of your friends, you can play this with up to 8 people, which is very, very cool. But yeah, it's definitely a very fun game to just goof around with. And then I watched a lot of Spider-Man related things. So Spectacular Spider-Man, the cartoon, I recently found out that the Blu-ray set is actually like out of print and like really expensive, so I went on eBay and quickly bought one. That was the cheapest price that I could find at the time. And I've rewatched the entire series, season 1 and 2 twice now, and it's literally because the show is so good. And like the reason why it's so good is because I watched like the behind the scenes videos on the set, and pretty much everyone that was making the show was a fan of the character. And on top of that, they made no new characters, and they try to stay very dedicated to the original Steve Ditko and Stan Lee run, and it works. And obviously they modernize it by like changing the color of certain characters and like adding Venom into the mix, because like back then Venom wasn't like a huge player within the Spider-Man world, but once he came out in like the 90s, he was a very popular character, so they integrated his character well into the show as well. And one thing I've learned just by watching all of these like Spider-Man things lately is like what makes a good Spider-Man story is one that like every single time Spider-Man does something, Peter Parker life takes a hit in one way or the other. So in this show, like the first time that like he takes a major hit is when he goes out and be Spider-Man and like tries to save Connors, who became the Lizard, and in doing so he also was taking pictures for the Bugle contest or whatever. And the people, they don't know that like that he's Spider-Man and that he was there, but he just had his camera or whatever. So when they see that, they just think that he bailed on the group to do that contest or whatever, but obviously he was there as Spider-Man doing his thing. So that happens a lot throughout the show, and like it happens a lot within Spider-Man 2 especially, which I watched recently. So the ratio I like to come up with is a 1 to 2 in Spectacular Spider-Man. So every good thing that Spider-Man does, there's like 2 bad things that happen to Peter Parker. In Spider-Man 2, it's like a 1 to 5 ratio. Because that entire movie is about Peter Parker getting shit on by life, whether it's to pay rent or like Mary Jane or whatever the hell is going on. Like that movie is just like, all right, let's just watch Peter Parker get shit on. And then once he finally decides to quit as Spider-Man, that's when you see that like, crime rises up, and like, like he can't have the best of both worlds pretty much. He has to like balance it out. And that is why I love the character, is because you see exactly how he has to balance it out while keeping this secret identity sort of thing going on. So the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon show is like my favorite on-screen representation of the character, just because they stayed very faithful to the original comics, and on top of that, it was just done really, really well. And then the Sam Raimi movies, I've only watched the first 2 right now, but the original Spider-Man is pretty much the way I got into the character mainly, I believe. And then the sequel, Spider-Man 2, as I'm much older, is definitely probably the best Spider-Man movie in terms of like a Peter Parker story to date, just because of what they do within that movie, you know, just like shitting on Peter Parker the entire movie, and then you seeing him being like, you know what, I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore because I need to take care of myself. And that's when you see that, you know, since he's not Spider-Man anymore, that's when crime rises up and this and that. But yeah, those two movies are great. And that's pretty much all I have on the table for my recent activities.
Yeah, I mean, all I want to say is that, Spectacular Spider-Man is really good, and everyone should watch it. I should probably rewatch it, too, because the last time I watched it was when I was, like, 10. So I should probably go and rewatch them, because they are very good, and I was really sad when they got canceled, because that was when Disney was buying Spider-Man, and that had to go, so...
Oh, yeah. So, I guess I could talk about this real quick. So... I did some research, obviously, and like the main thing that I think people have said is that like, so when they were transferring the TV rights from Sony Pictures to Marvel/Disney, Sony kept the rights to the Spectacular Spider-Man, and then they gave the rights for Marvel to make a new show / Disney to, you know, do whatever pretty much. So unless Disney buys Sony Pictures, we're not going to get another season of Spectacular Spider-Man, unfortunately. Unless Sony just gives that up. But yeah, we're pretty much never going to get a season 3 of this show because Sony has the rights to it. But, you know, who knows what'll happen, because this show is great and fantastic, and I cannot praise it enough because it is sadly gone too soon, sort of thing. But yeah, the shows that we got after Spectacular Spider-Man do no justice.
Even the ones before, like I grew up watching the '90s one, like the really like bad '90s one.
Oh yeah, the
animated series, and I was just like, I thought, oh, this is the best thing ever. And then Spectacular came out, I'm like, yo, this is actually good. So, and nothing has surpassed it since. Yeah. Like even in terms of other Spider-Man, like movie wise or anyway, like I still feel like the Spectacular Spider-Man is like just a really good representation of the character, like you said. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully one day we get season 3, but it's very, very, very unlikely. But it's a nice dream to have.
Yeah, definitely. Because every single time I watch the final episode, I'm like, man, they set so much up, like so well too, and then it's like we're never gonna get it,
unfortunately.
Like ever. And like one thing about the behind these scenes was that like they had like index cards to like lay out in terms of like how characters' arcs went, and I was like, this is like genius, and I could see it all play out within the show, exactly how nicely layered it is and how organized or whatever. But I'm gonna stop gushing about the show because it's just
very good. Like honestly, if no one has watched it, like watch it. It's very good.
Okay, so is there anything else you would like to add? Good stuff. Okay, so thank you guys for listening to us. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with the new episode.
See you guys later. Bye.